ושפתם מים בששון ממעייני הישוע, שפתם מים בששון ממעייני הישוע, מים 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 מים, מים בששון, מים 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 מים, מים בששון, hey 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 hey, מים 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 בששון, מים 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 בששון, ושפתם מים בששון ממעייני הישוע, שפתם מים בששון ממעייני הישוע, מים 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 מים, מים בששון, מים 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 מים, מים בששון, hey 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 hey, מים 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 בששון, מים 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 בששון.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm Rabbi Barry Silver on behalf of Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor and its board and directors. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to our Shabbat celebration. We began with Mayim Mayim, a tribute to water. Why water? Well, without water, life could not go on as we know it. And also all life emerged from water. Its chemical element speaks volumes. H2O. H stands for Hebrews. If you take two Hebrews, H2, and bring us together, we can do great things, but only when mixed with O, which stands for all the other people. So we're here in order to bring Jews together and all other people so that we can continue to try to bring blessings to this world. This is a very unique form of Judaism. I refer to it as cosmic Judaism. Sometimes we call it comic Judaism because my father founded this congregation. He had a wonderful sense of humor. And we believe that it's very important to never lose your sense of humor, never take yourselves too seriously. And so we celebrate comic Judaism and also cosmic Judaism, the final frontier. This is the eternal journey of the Jewish people to seek out the biblical world and wonderful personages, to explore new ways of improving our civilization and life as we know it, to boldly go where no faith has gone before. And in cosmic Judaism, we don't discard or abandon our traditions, quite to the contrary. We invigorate them with new life by giving them a modern, rational interpretation. And so today, we interpret the word soul. Soul in the past was thought of as some kind of supernatural element that entered into us from beyond. Today we know that there is something that is inside of each one of us. It's our essence. It's what makes us unique. And so the soul can be described perhaps as the essence or the life force inside of every living thing that is completely unique and has never existed before and never will again in any other person or thing. But in addition to being unique, it is also exactly the same as the life force of all others. It connects us in some way with all living things in a chain of life that goes all the way back from the beginning, spreads through us, and will keep going for who knows how long. We celebrate the fact that we are unique and that we can contribute to this world in ways that nobody has ever seen before. And we can accomplish things that we don't even know what we can do by tapping into our potential. That's why we're here. And to help us celebrate on this wonderful Shabbat, we have Raylene Fenton. She was kind enough to sponsor this Shabbat celebration in honor of her late husband of blessed memory, Dr. Stuart Fenton. We're commemorating the 3rd anniversary of his yahrzeit, and Raylene will be lighting the candles for us in his honor. We also have someone who's done so much work for Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor, Suzanne Burstein. She will lead us in the Kiddush. And I also have to thank Sharon Leibovitz, who is the mastermind behind putting this Shabbat celebration together, technically, along with Arnie Pickholtz. And now, let the celebration begin.
Good Shabbos. Another week of work is ended. Again, Shabbat brings welcome peace. We pause from our labors to let Shabbat give another dimension to our lives. These Sabbath candles are symbols of the holiness we seek. Their brightness dispels gloom and lights a path to faith and hope. Their glow reminds us of the sacred bonds that link us to our people over space and time. Their radiance summons us to fulfill our people's mission, to cast the light of freedom, justice, and peace upon all the world. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotov v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom, everyone. The lighting of the candles this Shabbat is in memory of my husband of almost 60 years, Stuart Fenton. Stuart died suddenly and I was lost. I joined L'Dor Va-Dor and I was found solace and comfort. It was there that I decided to get in touch with my Jewish roots. I hope everyone has a good Shabbos and hope we will be together soon. Shabbat Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu v'mitzvotov v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Hello. The beginning of Shabbat is marked by reciting a benediction sanctifying the day. Kiddush, which means sanctification, is the prayer recited over the wine, through which Jews proclaim the uniqueness of Shabbat. Sweet wine has long been used to make Shabbat just a little sweeter. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kadasho b'yahava uvratzon hihilanu zikaron lematze v'reishi ki hu yom tehila l'mikrai kodesh zeher netziat mitzrayim kivanu b'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kadsheha v'yava uvratzon hinhaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Shabbat Shalom. I hope everyone's feeling well and wish you all the best.
On a hot day in August 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a speech that would define the civil rights movement and his legacy. This, of course, was his I Have a Dream speech, delivered on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
The March on Washington served as a massive push for economic and political justice for African Americans. Held during the year celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, crowds marched on the National Mall to watch a variety of musical performances and speeches. Dr. King, a Baptist preacher and prominent civil rights leader, was scheduled to speak towards the end of the day, his debut on the national stage. Up until that point, King mostly addressed small crowds at black churches, rallies, or fundraisers. This time, he would be seen by nearly 250,000 people on the ground, as well as millions at home watching on television. This was an opportunity to reach a wide audience and persuade the public and the government to take action against racial injustice. The night before, King worked with a close group of advisors to get the speech just right. They worked through the night, settling on a final draft in the pre-dawn hours of August 28. Interestingly, the phrase, "I have a dream," a phrase he used in earlier speeches, was nowhere to be found in this copy. The words wouldn't manifest until almost halfway into Dr. King's speech, when gospel singer Mahalia Jackson, who had performed earlier in the day, called out to him from the sidelines to tell them about the dream. King set his prepared remarks aside and improvised the rest, crafting a soaring speech that would sear into the minds of millions of Americans.
No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
The speech was divided into two parts. The first listed the injustices that African Americans faced: segregation, police brutality, disenfranchisement, and discrimination, and urged a call to nonviolent action. The second launched into King's dream of peace and racial harmony, a vision of a future in which people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I have a dream.
Highlighting King's skills as a preacher, "I Have a Dream" was part sermon and part poetry, using rhetorical devices like repetition, rhyme, and vivid metaphor to drive his points home. It was peppered with historic, biblical, and literary references that moved the crowd. This message of struggle and hope became the defining moment not only of King's career, but also the civil rights movement. Both the speech and the March on Washington were credited with helping secure the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a landmark piece of legislation that ended segregation and banned discrimination on the basis of race or sex in the workplace.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty, we are free at last!
The speech also resonated with activists around the globe. "I have a dream," the phrase that wasn't even meant to be in his final draft, appeared in political actions all around the world. It's considered one of the world's most transformative and influential speeches, alongside others like Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address and Winston Churchill's Blood, Toil, Tears, and Sweat. "I Have a Dream" is only one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s many achievements, but it's nonetheless one of the most pivotal.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
עושה שלום במרומיו, עושה שלום במרומיו. May the one who reigns in the highest realm send a healing rain upon us all. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Amen.
It's now time for us to engage in some of the traditional Jewish prayers. However, with cosmic Judaism, we don't understand or interpret them in the traditional manner. We do not pray to a supernatural being or some outside force. Rather, we seek to commune with that soul that we talked about in the beginning of the service, the unique part of us, our life force or essence. You know, some people confuse the soul with the personality. The personality is how we've learned to behave, how we've learned to adapt, coping mechanisms with the world. But there's a part of us that goes beyond that. Our essence that we were born with before we became somewhat sullied or contaminated or had to make certain adjustments to get along in the world and maybe built up defense mechanisms. That pure sense of who we really are and who we really could become. That's what we try to get in touch with these prayers. A part of us that perhaps we've forgotten or has been buried under all the different ways that we've been so used to dealing with the world, but a part of us that we know is still there and that we seek to find. We also hope that if we can find that part of us, that pure soul within us, we can also help others to commune with that part of them and help them to discover that so that we can truly bond and connect with each other. Prayer is our effort to get in touch with that part of ourselves and others. It also does not call upon a supernatural being to save us, but calls upon us to summon up our own resources within ourselves, to overcome all burdens and obstacles and create a better world, and also to share a vision of what this world could be like according to Jewish ideals and the dreams of our ancestors, to share that vision with them, stretching back thousands of years and with people today of what the world could be. That is the purpose of our prayer, to energize and to galvanize us in order to bring out all that wonderful potential within us, to tap into that life force and to allow it to flourish. And now, some traditional Jewish prayers.
Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Hu et Adonai Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Hu et Adonai Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Listen, Shema, Listen, Israel. Listen, Shema. Listen, Israel, Israel, Israel. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avotenu Ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Ve'Hanora El Elyon גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, ועזרת שרה.
Being a child of the 60s, I love some of the old music of the past, especially a beautiful song called Imagine by John Lennon. Some people take offense at the song because it talks about imagine a world with no possessions and no nations and no religion too. Even though I'm a rabbi, I take no offense whatsoever. There have been so many crimes and atrocities in the name of religion which sought to squelch Galileo and science and the human will to expand and to increase our knowledge, and is engaged in so much internecine conflict. I could understand his sentiments, but I prefer not to throw out the baby with the holy water. And so I think that religion doesn't need to be eliminated, just improved upon. And just like government shouldn't be eliminated, but we can do better, as recent events have shown. And so I took the song Imagine, and I imagined a different lyric to it. And the reason why I wanted to share it this Friday night, this Shabbat, is because in Georgia we saw something spectacular happen. A new regime brought into power because for the first time, the control of the Senate is now shifted to a party that believes in human rights and protecting the planet. And how was this done? It was done by the election for the first time in the history of Georgia of a black senator and a Jewish senator together. This is reminiscent of the blacks and the Jews fighting together for civil rights, reviving our ancient alliance. And so it's a thrill for me to have performed this song, Imagine, with an African-American pastor, Julius Sana, on the guitar. So we're going to be singing Imagine. But also, after Imagine, we're going to have silent prayer. So I want you to listen to Imagine. And then as we engage in silent prayer, imagine a world that could be like the one described in John Lennon's song or in the song that I created. Or imagine a world that could be all that you hoped for, all your parents hoped that you would be, and all that our ancestors prayed for. To imagine is the beginning of the religious journey.
Imagine no gun violence. I wonder if you can. No more shameful silence. An assault weapons ban. Imagine all the people living without fear. Imagine politicians who hear what people say, who take the time to listen and ignore the NRA. Imagine all the people finally safe and free. Ooh. You may say I am a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us in a world liberated from the gun. Imagine carefree students. It's easy if you try. No more school shootings to make their parents cry. Imagine all the children learning without fear. Imagine peaceful churches, shalom in temples too. In a time when none could purchase guns to mow down me and you. Imagine all the gun shops closing down for good. You may say I'm a dreamer, and so was Martin Luther King. Together, let's create a better world where love, joy, and freedom reign.
מי שברך אבותינו, מי שברך אמותינו, הוא יברך את החולים. מי שברך אבותינו, מי שברך אמותינו, הוא יברך את החולים. וישלח להם מהרה רפואה, רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, ונאמר אמן. מי שברך אבותינו, מי שברך אמותינו, הוא יברך את החולים.
על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. השלושה דברים, השלושה דברים, שלושה דברים חסדים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד.
Our Torah reading this Shabbat is from the second chapter of the book of Exodus, Va-Eira, which means, and God appeared. You know, some people hear me say, I don't think that God wrote the Torah. In fact, I know that it was not written by a supernatural being. It has all the imprints of being written by humans. If it was written by a divine, all-knowing being, then hopefully he was just having a bad day, as Christopher Hitchens said, because it has things that are less than perfect. So people say, but Rabbi, if that's what you believe, God didn't write it, why bother reading it? You know, there's a lot of awesome things that we could read that weren't written by God, that were written by humanity. This Torah is a sacred, precious heritage that we've inherited from our ancestors who gave their lives to preserve the dreams and the hopes and the aspirations of our people contained therein. It reflects their earliest yearnings to understand the world around them, to learn how to live in harmony with the world, and to strive to become a great people and great individuals, and to figure out a way to live in peace and justice. For that reason, it is truly precious and sacred, and we honor those who gave their lives to protect it, not only by reading it, but by trying to carry out its wonderful message. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavarach. Baruch Adonai hamavarach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Vayidaber Elohim el Moshe lemor. And God seemed to speak to Moses and said, Ani Adonai ve'ereh el Avraham, el Yitzchak ve'el Yaakov, ke'el Shaddai. I am Yahweh, the power that generates and sustains life. And I made myself known to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob by the name of El Shaddai. El is the name for God. It comes from a Canaanite word for God. And Shaddai means that which provides all that we need. It's also related to the Hebrew word anthropologists think for the female breast, which also is the source of life for all humans. Ushemi Adonai lo nodati lahem. But my name, Yahweh, which means the generator of life, was not known to them. V'gam hakimoti et beriti itam latet lehem et aretz Kna'an et eretz megureihem. But I established my covenant with them to give to them the land of Canaan, the land of their migrations, asher garu ba, which they migrated within and traveled about. V'gam ani shamati et na'akat b'nei Yisrael. And now I have certainly heard the groans of the children of Israel, asher mitzrayim ma'avdim otam, as a result of the afflictions that the Egyptians have laid upon them. Va'ezkor et briti, and I will remember my covenant. Lachen emor livnei Yisrael, thus say to the children of Israel, Ani Yahweh, I am the creative power that generates life. V'hotzeti etchem mitachat sivlot Mitzrayim, and I will deliver you out from under the burdens of Egypt. V'hitzalti etchem me'avodotam, and I will rescue you from your burdens. V'ga'alti etchem b'zroa netuyah, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm of vishpatim gedolim, and with great judgments. V'lakachti etchem li la'am v'hayiti lachem l'Elohim, I shall take you to be my people, and I shall be for you your God. V'datem ki ani Yahweh Elohechem hamotzi etchem mitachat sivlot Mitzrayim, and you shall all know that I am the one who brought you out from under the afflictions of Egypt. I should also let you know that the word Mitzrayim is also translated as the narrow places, the straits of Egypt. So it also means I am that power that can bring you out from under narrow-mindedness and the narrow confines of your normal life and expand your horizons. Veheveti etchem el haaretz asher nasiti et yadi, and I will take you to the land of which literally I raised my hand. When you take an oath, you raise your hand. So what he's saying is the land that I promised, latet ota l'Avraham, l'Yitzchak, l'Yaakov, the land that I promised to give to Abraham, Isaac, and to Jacob. Even though they didn't know his actual name, which he's giving them to Moses now, Yahweh, this indicates the fact that he had a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but his covenant was evolving and growing, and each generation learned more and more. Just as today, we know so much more about all the powers and forces in the universe than they knew back then. Ani Yahweh vayidaber Moshe ken el bnei Yisrael. And Moses transmitted this message to the children of Israel. And now perhaps one of the saddest lines ever written in the Torah, even with all the killing and carnage. It says this, V'lo sham'u el Moshe mikotzer ruach im'avodah kasha. After Moses delivers this stirring message of hope and redemption from God, it says, V'lo sham'u. You know that word, shamu. It sounds like shema. What does shema mean? It means to hear or to listen to. Lo means no. The is and. V'lo shamu. And they didn't listen to him. El Moshe. Moshe is Moses. They didn't listen, El Moshe, to Moses. Mikotzer ruach. Literally because of shortness of spirit. Because their spirit had been crushed. U'me'avodah kasha. And because of hard labor. The blessing after the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu turat emet, v'chai olam nata bitochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. Two friends were talking about what's going on in the world these days, and one of them was saying, I just feel so terrible and discouraged about what's going on. And his friend said, me? I sleep like a baby. And his friend said, that's wonderful. How could you do that with all that's going on? He says, yes, I sleep just like a baby. I wake up every 3 hours and I cry. The other story I wanted to tell you about was about the psychology professor. And he asked the class, how would you diagnose a patient who walks up and down, shrieking and screaming hysterically at the top of his lungs, and then the next minute he's sitting down, weeping uncontrollably? Somebody said, a basketball coach? I know my friend Harris Friedman will appreciate that joke because he and I are both basketball coaches. And really, if you think about it, our parents were our greatest coaches. And hopefully on Shabbat we remember their wonderful teachings and lessons for us. But what is it that we can learn about from the Torah this Shabbat? What are our ancestors trying to tell us in the Torah? I think there's an important message for all of us. According to the Torah, and again, in cosmic Judaism, we don't take this literally, but the message and the meaning is crystal clear. According to the Torah, God himself was speaking through Moses. So the people are hearing this incredible revelation from on high. And it's telling them, don't give up. I'm going to save you. I will deliver you. Everything's going to be fine. And guess what? They don't pay any attention because their spirit was crushed and because of the hard labor. You know, sometimes, my friends, in today's world, we see what's going on and our spirits get crushed. We lose that spirit of optimism, not only that we had when we were young, but that our ancestors had, and that has guided and shaped and inspired the Jewish people throughout the ages. Our people know that we start the day and the evening because we want to show that the evening is always followed by the dawn. Yes, some people might call the message that I'm giving from Rabbi Barry Silver the silver lining. I can't help it. I have the silver lining because I picked it up from my dad and my mom, both incurable optimists. And even if you're a hard-nosed realist, you know that we have the potential to overcome and to do better. But sometimes we just don't see it. We're like the Hebrews that are so crushed and dispirited that we can't see our true potential and can't see what's out there. We live in an amazing country, an amazing time, and have tremendous gifts. If we're able to walk around, if we're able to see and hear and communicate, maybe even hit a tennis ball or play a little basketball or play a game of cards, if we have friends, the potential that we have is unlimited. And the potential to do good things is unlimited. We can see it in a guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger, someone whose father was a Nazi. And instead of making him bitter, it makes him better. He issued a warning of our times. He said, I've seen these broken men who followed leaders that were terrible. And he's warning us today never to follow such leaders and to realize that even in America, terrible things can happen in oppression and tyranny. And even sedition is possible. And what he's saying is don't follow them. We can do better. You see it in a guy like Bill Belichick. He was the coach. He is the coach for the New England Patriots. Someone who won more titles than anyone, 6 titles. And someone who's going to be given a great honor by the president, the Medal of Honor, because he was close to the president, a friend of his. And even though he didn't like what he was doing, he never spoke up about President Trump. He decided not to get involved. But you know what he did now? He refused the Medal of Honor to show his protest against someone who would lead people to a violent takeover, an attempted violent coup of our country. He showed his true mettle by deciding to meddle in world affairs, where before he said, I'm going to stay out. This is a wonderful thing that he did. He rose and even higher than when he won all of those Super Bowls. You know, they say the lowest level of hell is reserved for those who remain silent in times of moral crisis. And so we look at Schwarzenegger and Belichick. We look at Stacey Abrams, someone who lost the race for governor in Georgia. And instead of getting discouraged, she encouraged others and came back and brought about the most miraculous victory in the history of Georgia. A black and a Jew both elected in order to save this country for decency, dignity, and democracy. We see in the cabinet the leaders who are being selected by Joe Biden. We see so many wonderful Jewish scholars and leaders and idealists. There's at least 10 of them. They form a minion of Jewish leaders. And Harris and Biden themselves have many Jews within their family. We are encouraged and we are thrilled and we recognize that we are at an inflection point in history, and we cannot expect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their cabinet to do it alone. We must mobilize the Jewish people and join together as never before in order to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity for growth. You know, when the Jews were in Egypt and their spirit was crushed, we started out the Shabbat celebration by talking about the soul that's within all of us, this pure, idealistic, loving soul, that sometimes it gets crushed. And so we can't hear the truth. This is a very sad thing. Many of our fellow Jews are living in times today where they can't hear the truth and they follow after a leader who leads them astray. Incredibly, we think, well, this could really never happen. In the Bible, our ancestors must have known better, but guess what? We read in the passage that when Moses told the Jewish people that God was going to lead them out, Pharaoh increased their burdens and made it more difficult for them. And guess what? The Jewish people didn't side with Moses. They sided with Pharaoh. They said to Moses, why did you do this? Why did you make life difficult for us? We were doing well before with Pharaoh, and now you come along. How is that possible? Well, we see it today also, Jewish people being led astray by someone who is not elevating them, but is debasing his own base. We Jews have to recognize that sometimes our fellow Jews go astray, and our job is not to hate them or get angry at them or yell at them or separate ourselves from them and not talk to them. Our job is to inspire them and to encourage all Jews to follow after leaders who will bring us up and elevate us, not drag us down. Our job is to be able to find our true soul and our neshama and help other people to do that also. Because no matter how far we have been crushed and what labors are laid upon us and how dispirited we might be, we always have the capacity to rise up out of Mitzrayim, which is Hebrew for Egypt, but also narrowness, to get out from under this narrow-mindedness which allows us to blindly follow a leader into the abyss, and to discover our true neshama. We can discover our neshama by walking outside and looking at the moon and the stars and the beautiful sun and other creatures and trees and nature, and contemplating the marvels of science and the wonders of the world around us. We can find our true soul by using our rational mind, our greatest gift, in order to realize our uniqueness. And finally, my friends, we can use our neshama within us, the soul, to connect with other souls, other living things, and connect in love and in joy. And this connection is not only confined to human beings. You might wonder, what's this thing in my background here? This, my friends, is my ketubah. This is the wedding certificate signed by my father and entered into with my wonderful wife, Francine. And because of this ketubah in our marriage, we've produced two amazing children, Ari and Brandon. Count your blessings, my friends. If you have a wife, if you have children, if you have parents, if you have people who care about you, if you have friends, count your blessings. Our neshama can join with them and experience love. And in this way, we can elevate each other out of the depths in order to take our soul where it's never been before. And my friends, we can also connect in love, not only with other people, but also with the animal world. Animals also allow us to exchange love with them. And we can connect even without language. And we're going to see a beautiful video now about our capacity to share love, not only with other people, but with all living things. Shabbat Shalom.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
As we recite the Kaddish, our thoughts naturally turn to all those people who have now perished because of the coronavirus. We look forward to the vaccine in a time when no one will succumb to this horrible pandemic anymore, and we'll be able to emerge from our homes in freedom. Our hearts go out to the families and friends of all of those who have perished. We also think of the 5 people who died and the onslaught and the seditious takeover of the United States Capitol. We mourn their loss, and we hope that this country will turn in a new direction. And all of us who have lost loved ones at this time of year, we ask ourselves, can we make their lives a blessing by using the inspiration that they shared with us in order to make our lives and our world a better place? Yiskedal v'yiskadash shemer Rabba, v'yomad yifrach ruseh v'yamlich ma'achoseh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed chol beis Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemer Rabba mivarach l'olam ulmei ulmaya, yisborach v'yistabach v'yisboar v'yisromam v'yisnaseh, v'yisadar v'yisalev v'yisalal shemer kedusha berichu. Le'elam enko berchasa v'shirasa, tush bechasa v'nechamasa, damichon b'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shlam harabba min shmaya v'chayim, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, u'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen. May we tap into that source of comfort and of peace within us. And may we share this with others so that we may become a source of comfort and peace for others. And let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for watching and joining us for this Shabbat. Thank you to Rabbi Barry, Rose Lopater, Andrew Susman, and Arnie Pickholtz for all they do. L'Dor Va-Dor is creating the Judaism of tomorrow, today, with our InspiRational Judaism, based on modern understanding, reason, and rational thinking. We honor traditions, respect science, and celebrate spirituality. We're all inclusive and welcoming to one and all. We ask for you to join with us and help us to unite Jews of all denominations and beliefs by building bridges of love and hope together. L'Dor Va-Dor has been very busy creating some wonderful and time-worthy programs on Zoom for your participation and enjoyment. This Sunday afternoon, January 17th at 4 p.m., we will have an interesting presentation by Jeff Cashton about the swarming behavior of animals and the influence on science, technology, and business. We hope to see you there. Next Sunday at 4 p.m. on January 24th, we are offering Blessings of Our Pets by Rabbi Barry. We invite you and your pets to join us on Zoom. This Wednesday evening at 7 p.m., Rabbi Barry will offer our monthly Controversial Issues Forum, discussing how we can unite America in 2021 and mend the partisan divide. We will be holding our more traditional Shabbat morning services once per month. The next one's on Saturday, January 30th, and Saturday, February 27th at 10:30 a.m., led for us by Andrew Susman, along with Rabbi Barry. And don't miss out on our Chats with Two Rabbis each Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., where we can hear the upcoming Torah Parsha from the perspective of two different rabbis, Rabbis Vikan and Rabbi Barry Silver. For the month of January, we're very proud to say that we will be sharing a portion of our donations with the Peggy Adams Animal Rescue League, a very worthy cause, saving lost and abandoned animals right here in our own community and area. Join us tonight at 8:30 p.m. for our Zoom and Schmooze, where we can continue our live celebration of Shabbat and hear some beautiful music and sharing with one another. Find the links for these in our email newsletters and on our L'DorVador.org website. Enjoy more of L'Dor Va-Dor through our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. We wish you all a peaceful and beautiful Shabbat and week ahead. Good health to one and all, and we hope vaccines will be there for all of us very soon. Shabbat Shalom with love from L'Dor Va-Dor, and have a great week.
Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May you be a source of blessing and protection for others, and may you also be blessed and protected. Ya'ech Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May you be a source of love, shining forth from your neshama, from your soul. And may you also be the recipient of much love from others. Yisad Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you lift up other people to achieve great heights of achievement, and may you also be lifted up to accomplish all that you dreamed that you could in this wonderful new year. And may I also say, may we be a source of peace and harmony to end the bitter partisan divide. May we be successful in bringing out the Moses within us and conquering those tendencies that emulate Pharaoh. Let Moses win out. Let the spirit of liberation win out over the force of darkness within us. Let us emerge victorious so that our pure soul, our neshama, may shine forth this week and forever. Amen.
When we hear one another, there will be peace in the world. When we understand one another, there will be peace in the world. When we love one another, there will be peace in the world. There will be peace in the world. When we learn from one another, there will be peace in the world. When we work with one another, there will be peace in the world. That peace will come. We'll see the